and welcome to the Monsterathon Book Tag. Okay, so it's time for another round of Monsterathon, and that means it's time for another Monsterathon Book Tag, where basically it's just trying to give book recommendations for all of the prompts for the Monsterathon. So let's get into it. The first prompt is The Whispering Woods, which is an underhyped book, or a book you haven't heard much about, and I'm going to say The Kingdom for this because quite frankly I have not heard enough people talking about this book since it came out. It had a bit of a hype sort of leading up to its release, and then it released and then I heard nobody talking about it, which is ridiculous quite frankly because it is amazing. This is sort of like what happens when Westworld meets Disneyland, told in the way of How to Get Away with Murder, in the sense that all of the princesses of this world are robots like they are in Westworld, and this story is basing around a murder mystery as to whether or not one of the princesses killed one of the attendants at the park. And it's sort of like you get this flashback of what happened in the lead up and then after the trial, and you sort of get both of these points of view like you do with How to Get Away with Murder, and it is amazing. We're gonna have to ignore the planes because they just don't stop these days, so filming is ridiculous. Prompt number 2 is The Lair of the Babadook, which is a book with LGBTQIA+ representation, and for that I'm going to say A Dream So Dark, which is a sequel to A Blade So Black, where basically it's Alice in Wonderland, where Alice is more like Buffy than anybody else, and it is amazing. It's revealed in book 2 that Alice and also Hatter are bisexual, and you start seeing Alice start to sort of get feelings for another female character in this, but she also has feelings for a couple of male characters as well, and you also get sort of Hatter's point of view as well, where you get his past with another male character and stuff like this. And I highly recommend the series anyway, but I also really like the representation in this and how it was done. I highly recommend it. Essentially, just get on the Blade So Black series. Seriously, get on it. Prompt number 3 is The Hydras Hanger, which is a book with mythological creatures, and for that I'm going to say the Aru Shah series, because this is based entirely on the Mahabharata and specifically the 5 Pandavar brothers, and it's sort of told in the same sort of way as Percy Jackson, in the sense that the main character Aru Shah is a demigod and the daughter of one of the 5 gods, and they're so good. They're so good. I just started reading these and I'm thoroughly enjoying them. I cannot recommend them enough. The next prompt is My Swamp, which is a book with a pretty cover, and I'm going to say the beast is an animal because, I mean, look at it. It's all foiled and it's just generally absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love it. Even the back is gorgeous. I haven't read this yet though, but the cover is stunning. The next prompt is Under the Bed, which is to read a book by a black or indigenous author who you've been sleeping on. I'm going to say N.K. Jemisin for that because quite frankly I've slept on Jemisin for years now. Basically for at least 4 years I've been sleeping on Jemisin, and that is going to change with this readathon. So spoiler alert for a little bit of my TBR for the month, but this is definitely on the list. I've been sleeping on this author for far too long and I'm going to stop doing that now. Next prompt is The Secret Crypt, which is a book with a mystery element, and for that I'm saying Skullduggery Pleasant because I wouldn't be me if I didn't say Skullduggery Pleasant, but also because this fits with the Monsterathon in the sense that it's all about magic, and he is literally a walking skeleton detective. He's literally a walking skeleton, which is kind of monstery, spooky kind of thing, and there's other monsters like the faceless ones and all the rest of it. You get all the monsters in this. And I mean, there is also mystery elements in this because every single time they're usually trying to solve a murder, or they're trying to solve exactly who's trying to bring back something like the faceless ones, or whatever fresh hell is trying to come to destroy the world. Next prompt is Your Friendly Neighbours House, which is to read a book recommended to you by a friend. I'm going to say The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Adier because my best friend recommended this one to me years ago and I admittedly bought it and then still haven't read it, but it's on the list. Next prompt is A Moment of Peace, which is a comfort read. Marvel 1602 for me. It's such a comforting read because I just love it. Essentially, it's the first comic I ever read. I absolutely fell in love with it when I read it. I'm still in love with it now. I love how all the characters are basically the same but different because they're in the year 1602. I love the storyline to it. I love all of the hidden characters that you find out about throughout the story. It's just absolutely brilliant. Next prompt is Area 51, a book featuring aliens or mutants. House of M. There's mutants in this. They are mutants. They are called mutants, therefore I'm taking carte blanche to talking more about mutants and putting mutants on the TBR for the month. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I saw mutants, I took the chance. Next one is Rearview Mirror, which is to read a book published 5 years ago or more. Good Omens. Yes, I know. It was published like 30 years ago, so it definitely counts for this, but it's also got all the angels and the demons and the Antichrist and Satan and all the rest of it in it, so it definitely counts for the Monsterathon as well in that sense, and also Demonathon if you're also doing that one. But of course I was going to mention this one. I love Good Omens. It's such a good book. It's so funny. It's so cleverly written. I highly recommend it. Next prompt is The Upside Down, which is to read a retelling, and for that I'm going to say The Forest of a Thousand Lanterns, which is a Chinese-inspired Snow White retelling based entirely on the evil stepmother. I haven't read this one yet either. It's definitely high on the list, but I am very excited to get to it, and I am always here for the retellings of the villains in fairy tales, I've got to admit. And the final one is The Bunker, which is to read a book with disability or deaf representation, and I'm going to say The Christmasaurus, which isn't exactly spooky monstery whatsoever, but it does feature dinosaurs and also a little boy who is a wheelchair user. It's absolutely brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed these stories. I loved this one and the sequel, and also the soundtrack that goes with it, and I cannot recommend it enough. And that is the end of the Monsterathon tag, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below with some of your answers for this, I'd love to know. I'll also leave a link down below to all of my social media if you want to check it out. And if you want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here. And over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!